Live from WSIL TV in high definition, this is News 3.
Governor Quinn promises state resources in response to the deadly tornadoes across Illinois. And tonight, a Massac County family tells their amazing survival story, how they rode out the storm in a creek bed.
I've lived here my whole life and we knew it was there, and that was our basic plan.
Good evening. Damage assessment will continue into tomorrow as emergency managers get a handle on the destruction from yesterday's deadly storms. The National Weather Service now estimates the tornado that hit Brookport had winds of up to 145 miles an hour. 3 people were killed, but investigators said today there could have been a lot more fatalities considering the damage in that community. Power has now been restored in the town, but a curfew is in effect again this evening and runs until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. The governor is in the community at this hour as part of a statewide fly-around to survey the damage. He has declared 7 Illinois counties disaster areas, including Massac and Washington counties here in our region. We have team coverage tonight from Massac County. Meteorologist Nick Housen, Fauna Haile Selassie, and Emily Finnegan have been there throughout the day today. We begin with News 3's Emily Finnegan live right now in Metropolis. Emily, what's the latest?
Well, Eden, as you said, things are dying down in Brookport for the evening. That curfew is now in place. As we were there throughout the day today, there were a lot of people out working to clear the roads in town, and also residents starting to sift through what's left of their homes, try to salvage any valuables. Now, many of the homes that were destroyed in that town were mobile homes that are just not built to withstand those very, very strong winds of the tornado. One of the families that we spoke with actually survived by leaving their trailer and taking shelter in a nearby creek bed. News 3's Nick Housen has their story.
Behind me was once Carolyn Lewis's mobile home, but because of great decisions by her and her family, they're still alive.
We're fixing to go out the door when my sister called and said that it had hit Brookport.
As the storm approached, she made a last-second decision to lead her daughter and grandkids to take cover under this bridge down the street.
The wind hit and knocked me and the baby to the ground, and I couldn't get up. Well, my daughter come up behind me and grabbed me and the baby, and her and the baby went in the creek. I kept grabbing hold of the limbs until I got underneath it, and just as we got underneath it, you could see the wind and hear the stuff above us.
They held on for dear life as the storm passed, then walked down the street to see the destruction. Lewis's mobile home is flipped into a tree and torn apart. The family's belongings are scattered in the backyard. Many of the neighbors' homes look the same, leaving her grateful this small bridge saved their lives.
I've lived here my whole life and we knew it was there, and that was our basic plan.
Having a plan in place ahead of time is always a good idea, but it's even more important if you live in a mobile home, because simply waiting for a warning to be issued isn't always enough.
You should really have already taken action before the warning, even in the watch phase, especially if you see storms approaching 50, 100 miles away.
Rick Shanklin with the National Weather Service in Paducah was surveying damage this afternoon in Massac County. Much of the wreckage was from mobile homes.
There's no option except to leave the mobile home, period. Even if it's tied down on a block foundation, yes, those things help, but your plan of action should be to go to a much safer shelter nearby.
And having that plan in place and taking cover under this small bridge likely saved the Lewis family's lives. In Massac County, Nick Housen, News 3.
Now, Governor Pat Quinn arrived in Brookport just a few moments ago. He spent the day touring all of the tornado-ravaged areas of the state, including the 7 counties that he declared disaster areas today. The governor promises that the state will help all of those hard-hit communities with every asset possible, and he's asking people all across the state to come together as a family to support the communities that saw damage. Now, our Sam Jones is with the governor, and we'll have more on his visit coming up tonight on News 3 at 10. The National Weather Service says the tornado that hit Brookport was on the ground in Illinois for 11.5 miles. All those who had been missing are now accounted for, but the overall damage assessment is going to take some time to complete. News 3's Fauna Haile Selassie continues our coverage tonight.
As homeowners finally start to take in the scope of the damage, county officials are doing the same, but they say they'll need time to do a proper assessment.
It was just like a war zone out there. I mean, for a half-mile stretch, everything's gone.
Brookport is an old community filled with buildings that once withstood the test of time.
I've got it traced back to 1945. Some people says that this back part was here in 37.
But they could not withstand the power of Mother Nature. Kathy Del Harris has owned what used to be the H&H feed store in Brookport for 27 years. But all that's left is a tangled mess of twisted metal. Now she and her family are trying to find anything they can salvage.
I'm just thankful that it was Sunday and I wasn't down here because I keep the grandkids down here too. And I would have had our 2-year-old with us. So.
It seems like this one that have Massac County officials telling people to stay out of the area because it's still too early to start the cleanup process.
Because we just can't put people in helping when we're dealing with having to get this damage assessed, because we can't also remove debris until we know what our plan's going to be.
But the assessment of the damage is well underway. Massac County Sheriff Ted Holder says those reports will then be used to get as much help as possible to area victims.
I've had the county commissioners with me. We're making assessments in the county right now to show them, what the citizens are going through out there.
Citizens like Harris, who would like another chance to beat out time with another feed store. Emergency officials say once they've completed the assessment, they'll organize a help station just like they did in Harrisburg in February 2012. We'll have more on that information as soon as it becomes available. In Brookport, Fauna Haile Selassie, News 3.
To help with the assessment process and eventually with cleanup, emergency management officials are asking all tornado victims to register tomorrow at the Brookport City Council chambers between 8 and 4. Now, those that had just damage to their homes were really the lucky ones in this storm. Many people were injured and 3 people were actually killed in Massac County. Today, we spoke with some of the victims' family and friends. 2 of those that died, 56-year-old Robert Harmon and 58-year-old Kathy George, both lived in the badly damaged Unionville area. Both were trying to take shelter inside their homes. Harmon's neighbors say that he was a good guy who loved motorcycles, and they say it's very sad to see his home now in pieces. The house where Kathy George and her husband Charles lived was actually picked up by the strong winds and scattered across the street.
It seemed like it always missed us, come close. But it got us this time. It got us good, too.
The third victim, 63-year-old Sholata Burris, was from the city of Brookport. She lived in one of the 2 mobile home parks that were hard hit yesterday. And today, the National Weather Service really repeatedly praised the response and early warning for this particular storm. They say the initial warning for the tornado went out at 1:52 p.m. yesterday, and the tornado actually hit Brookport at about 2:20, a half an hour later. So many people had time to take cover, and they say that saved a whole lot of lives. For now, live in Metropolis, Emily Finnegan, News 3.
Emily, thank you. And we'll head back to Massac County a little later. News 3's Matthew Searcy will show us how medical teams are caring for those injured in the storm. Now a quick check on weather. Sunny and calm for cleanup today. Here's Jim.
Yeah, many times, Eden, after a severe weather event, we see the next day come back with very clear skies and very quiet weather. Certainly what we had today. It always works out, it seems, for folks that are cleaning up, that the weather cooperates that next day. Temperatures were warmer than normal all day long, starting to drop off, though. With the clear skies and calming winds, we do expect a chilly night tonight and probably a pretty heavy frost in many locations by tomorrow morning. Right now, 45 in Mount Vernon, 48 in Marion, 47 degrees in Cape Girardeau. Paducah and Poplar Bluff both reporting 52. All of those reports coming in from the local airports. Tomorrow morning for low temperatures, expecting everyone to be below freezing. And I do think we'll see some upper 20s, especially in southern Illinois. But you can see even Paducah and Cape with a chance of being around 30. And we could see some readings maybe as cool as 27 or so along I-64. Tomorrow afternoon, quite a bit of sunshine. I think we will start to see a few more clouds around. But it looks like high temperatures close to 50 degrees. And then for the rest of the week, it looks like Wednesday, clouds will be moving in And a big rainmaker is expected to be in here for Thursday and Friday. At this point, it looks like a chance we could see some small thunderstorms, a little thunder and lightning activity with them. But more importantly, looking like it could be another very heavy rain event. Again, several days away, but something we'll be watching and adjusting the forecast all week long. Of course, we'll take a full look at that forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Jim, thanks. Cleanup goes on in Washington County as well today, where 2 people were killed in the storms. The coroner identifies the victims as 80-year-old Joseph Hoy and his sister, 78-year-old Frances Hoy. Officials say an EF4 tornado hit their farmhouse as it tore through the town of New Minden. Joseph's body was found about 100 yards away. Frances was pulled from the rubble but died at the hospital. The twister ripped roofs off homes and damaged the St. John's Lutheran Church in the area. But the village president says it turned at the last minute and missed most of that town. Winds of up to 190 miles an hour hit the town of Washington, Illinois, near Peoria. 1 man was killed there and about 120 others hurt. Some of those injuries are severe. The view from above shows the path of the powerful tornado and the extent of the destruction. Whole neighborhoods are basically flattened. Washington's mayor says up to 500 homes are damaged or destroyed. Our tornado coverage continues after the break. See how emergency medical crews in the area have dealt with the many people injured in the storm. And later, other news of the day. This local woman accused of murder could be brought back to Williamson County soon. You're watching News 3.
You're watching News 3 in HD. Your Southern Illinois news leader with Eden Schultz, meteorologist Jim Razor, and Darren Kennard.
It's been a busy 24 hours for hospitals in and around Massac County. Dozens of people injured by the tornado there were admitted yesterday evening, and many are still being treated at this hour. News 3's Matthew Searcy is live in Metropolis with that part of the story tonight. Matt.
Eden, 2 of the closest hospitals from here in Massac County are actually located in Paducah. A combined total of 24 patients were admitted to both Lourdes Hospital and Baptist Health Paducah, with many of those patients still being treated tonight. A deadly storm leaves behind not only debris, but plenty of injuries.
Some fractures to her back and head injuries. The way we understand, she was thrown about 200 feet from the trailer.
Brookport resident Donnie Hogue says his relative, Norma Varvel, is in critical condition after the tornado ripped through her home. One of several of his family members injured in the twister.
She's in critical care in Evansville right now, and some other family members, I think, are over in Paducah, have some injuries, so it's hit a lot of our family.
With all the injuries, local hospitals are feeling the impact.
We started receiving patients relatively quick, and they came almost in a wave fashion.
At Lourdes Hospital in Paducah, 13 patients, all injured by the tornado, were admitted within a couple of hours late Sunday evening, forcing extra staff to be called in, says spokesperson David Simmons.
From minor stuff all the way up to some blunt force trauma and head injuries and large bone fractures.
7 Lourdes patients are still receiving treatment, 2 of whom are in critical condition. At nearby Baptist Health, 11 storm victims were admitted on Sunday, 2 of whom are also receiving critical care. And as the cleanup process continues, so does the risk of more injuries, as plenty of debris and hazards still remain.
There's folks, quite frankly, that might have got hurt last night in a storm, but are involved in still helping. So we're here for them, and we do expect to see them. We're ready for them.
But for people like Hogue, with relatives still injured, all they can do now is wait.
We've been trying to call family members. People are scattered at different hospitals, so you know, it's been really rough trying to cope with all of it.
And for Hogue, what makes this process even more difficult is the fact that he's already lost a family member in this storm. His wife's aunt was 63-year-old Shalata Burris, who was pronounced dead yesterday evening. Live in Massac County, Matthew Searcy, News 3.
Okay, Matt, thanks. We'll take a break. Jim's forecast is coming up right after this.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
The big storm that brought all of the severe weather to the middle part of the country continues to move away from it. You actually see it in the last few frames here, vapor and flow animation. That big counterclockwise rotation, a very mature storm, but again, away from us and moving away from us. Things calm down today, but a lot of energy moving around off to the west, and already some water vapor, some humidity starting to flow up out of the south. So the weather is going to change relatively quickly this week. I think tomorrow, quite a bit of sunshine. But even 2 or 3 days ago, where it looked like on Wednesday we might see another quiet day with some sun, now it looks like a mostly cloudy day. A few showers maybe as close as St. Louis. Again, because of the water vapor flowing across North Texas right now. And out in the Pacific, you can just barely see it. A really wrapped up storm coming in that will move into the northwest. Some of that energy I think we'll get here. And also a southern stream setting up that looks like it may start to come into the southwest U.S. and then flow over the top of us. That would provide even more humidity and feed what looks like is going to be another big rainmaker in the middle part of the country. It looks like it'll be around here Thursday and Friday. Rain totals already in the charts are looking pretty large, so we'll keep an eye on that. Right now, the Gulf of Mexico, everything moving away. The little bit of shower activity that was showing up in West Texas and parts of New Mexico sort of dissipating. But when we look to the northwest, it's just an onshore flow that looks like it's going to continue and then move our direction. But before that can happen, high pressure has got to move completely out. It seems like we talk about this every week. There's a high on top of us. Right now it's a northerly flow and cool air. Give it about 24 to 36 hours. It will be off to our east and will be in the southerly flow. Right now, Denver, 48 degrees, while Chicago's reporting 37, Minneapolis, 30. The coldest air really showing up right over the Great Lakes region or northern Great Lakes region, and I think it's going to make more of an east move, and part of the reason is that high sort of working to deflect it away, and it will move across here tomorrow. Temperatures for us today have been warmer than normal. We may get to a new low before midnight, but our range for today from 40 to 57. We were 57 at midnight. And then we were back up to that again for just a brief time this afternoon. Nothing in the rain gauge today. Dry in Marion as well. At the high school right now, 47 degrees. Dew point at 26 and showing a very light northwest breeze. Skycast showing the high pressure moving across the region, and even by midday tomorrow, winds will start to turn out of the south a little bit. Clouds increasing on Wednesday. You can see even some passing showers getting close according to the Adonis model. I think the rain will miss us on Wednesday. We are expecting the clouds to come in, but we do expect the rain to move in on Thursday. One of the models I looked at today bringing in heavy rain for both Thursday and Friday. The other model, a few showers on Thursday and the heavier rain coming on Friday. Temperatures tomorrow morning around here, again, it looks like everyone below freezing. And tomorrow afternoon, I think the 50-degree line will likely be very close. So temperatures tomorrow likely going to run just a little bit cooler than normal. Clear skies tonight will lead to temperatures dropping pretty quickly. It looks like we could be to around freezing by 3 o'clock or so in the morning, and then tomorrow morning a low around 29, a few 27s and a couple of 30s possible. In and out of a few clouds tomorrow, east breezes, maybe even turning southeast by late afternoon, high around 51. Wednesday looks mostly cloudy with a high of 57. Thursday brings in at least a chance of showers. Friday, a good chance of rain, and it looks like it could be a steady rain for a while. Mixed in there, I think we could see a little thunderstorm activity, and then Saturday, strong north winds expected, mostly cloudy skies and cool conditions.
Bringing in that cold air.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Authorities plan to bring a suspect back to Williamson County this week to face murder charges. Tamara Williams of Johnston City faces 4 counts of first-degree murder. She's accused of stabbing to death this woman, 66-year-old Barbara Beers. Beers' body was found Friday afternoon south of Marion in a yard along McInturf Road. Police arrested Williams on Saturday just south of Nashville, Tennessee, driving Beers' car. Investigators say the 2 women were acquaintances, but there's no word on a motive for the killing. The Williamson County State's Attorney's Office says the process to bring Williams back to Marion is now underway. The cause of a weekend business fire in Marion remains under investigation. That fire broke out Saturday afternoon at the Jackson and Gray Insurance Building. That's on the corner of Calvert and North Market, just off the Marion Square. No one was inside the business at the time. Marion Fire Chief Jack Reed says the fire is not considered suspicious. 6 departments were called in to help put out the flames. Coming up in sports, high school girls basketball tips off tonight, plus the latest update on injured SIU quarterback Corey Faulkner and his recovery. Sports is next.
SIU quarterback Corey Faulkner took a step toward recovery today when he got the pins out of his injured throwing hand. Now he begins rehab immediately, and doctors told him he will be cleared to practice as soon as he can properly grip a football. Salukis will try to keep their slim playoff hopes alive in their regular season finale against Indiana State this Saturday. The Sycamores have won only one game this year, but largely are responsible for keeping SIU out of the playoffs last season. So redemption is certainly on the Dogs' minds.
You got to be ready for a battle. That's my message to the team. You don't look at the record. This is the team that beat us last year. This is the team that kept us out of the playoffs last year. A lot of those players are still playing.
We kind of did a similar thing to them the 2 years before that, so we kept them out of the playoffs. So it's something that we're not going to let happen. I mean, we're going to do everything we can on Saturday to get the win.
And the Dogs and Trees square off at 1 Central Time in Terre Haute this Saturday. SIU must win to even be considered for the postseason. When SIU and Austin Peay basketball meet tomorrow night in Clarksville, something has got to give. One team will crack the win column for the first time this year. Now, Salukis are hoping it's them to avoid an 0-3 start. Despite 8 newcomers, SIU has showed plenty of promise in those 2 losses. Still, when asked if SIU's tough early season schedule will help his young team, here's what Coach Barry Hinson had to say.
If we go get beat at Austin Peay on Tuesday night, it doesn't help us. I mean, we're 0-2, and that's a hole, and you just can't add to it. So we've really got to play well Tuesday night.
And tomorrow night's game tips off at 7:05. Governors 0-1 on the season so far. And speaking of hoops, high school girls basketball tips off tonight. Nashville is the defending 2A girls state champions and returns some key members of their squad. In 1A, Goreville made it all the way to the super sectionals before falling to Cowden Herrick, and they also returned several starters. We'll have highlights from the Marion girls tournament coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
Hard to believe basketball is back.
Already here.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
And we're back after this. An update now on the latest developments from tornado-ravaged Massac County. A curfew is in place again tonight for the town of Brookport. All residents have now been accounted for, but 3 people are confirmed dead. Brookport Elementary School will be closed again tomorrow, but all other Massac County schools will resume classes after being canceled today because of the storm. Volunteers interested in helping with relief are being asked to hold off for now to give emergency crews time to fully assess the damage. Those volunteers are being asked to register at Unity School starting Wednesday morning there in the Brookport area. And a final word on weather this evening from Jim.
Yeah, quiet weather continuing for much of the middle part of the country as we check the travel forecast for tomorrow. The only precipitation showing up, a chance of some light snow in Syracuse, but you can see in the plains temperatures moving back into the 60s. We'll feel a little bit of that warming midweek, but won't last very long because the next round of rain expected to be here by Thursday.
Good news, at least the next couple days for folks cleaning up out there. All right, Jim, thanks. And thank you for joining us. Entertainment Tonight is coming up next right here on Channel 3. We'll see you again at 10. Have a good evening.
SIL TV in high definition. This is News 3.
Firefighters from more than a dozen departments across southern Illinois battle a major fire in downtown Carterville tonight. Good evening. The first calls came in a little after 6 o'clock this evening. Just a few minutes ago, more firefighters from Franklin, Johnson, and Saline counties were called to the scene. The fire has spread to at least 2 buildings in the 100 block of North Division Street in Carterville. At one point, the flames spread to power lines in front of the business. The wires sparked, sending our crews running for safety. As the night wore on, fire departments from farther and farther away in southern Illinois were called in to help. My co-anchor Emily Finnegan has been in Carterville much of the evening watching crews battle this fire. She joins us with the latest. And Emily, it looks like this fire is still raging at this hour.
It most definitely is, Eden, and the crews actually responded to this call a little after 6 tonight, so they've now been on the scene for nearly 4 hours. As you said, the fire is not yet contained. We have no word on any possible injuries at this point, but I can tell you that the fire appears to have started in the Corbell Electronics building that's right here in the heart of downtown Carterville, and it's now spread to the building just to the north of that. That's a former pastry donut shop. It was empty at the time, but there were some apartments in the upstairs level of that building. We do not know yet at this point if anyone was living in those apartments. That seems to be where the majority of the focus with the crews are right now, is on that building just to the north of the Corbell Electronics building. And actually, within the past 45 minutes, the police and firefighters actually came and asked us and this crowd of spectators that are here to move back from the scene because they're concerned about the stability of the front wall of that building. Now, all the streets in this part of downtown Carterville are shut down, and that's because they're bringing in tanker truck after tanker truck full of water to put on these flames. They've been doing it for hours, and it's not letting up. This is a really huge coordinated response involving nearly 20 different agencies at this point. And we're going to bring in our Matthew Searcy now. He's been on the scene for several hours as well, and Matt actually had the chance to speak to some of the people who are organizing this response. Matt?
Emily, as you said, there's just so many crews out here on the scene, some of them working behind me. They've actually had to set up a command post just down the street a few blocks away. That's where I had a chance to speak with the Williamson County Fire Chief, Jeremy Norris. Now, he estimates that up to 100 fire personnel are on the scene. That number includes 18 different agencies, but fire officials aren't the only ones on the scene. There's also Ameren crews trying to take down the power lines that are very close to the flames. Firefighters say they are having trouble containing the flames because of the location of the fire and the age of the buildings.
Downtown, old construction, usually not good firewalls between them. There's usually been breached, and that's what they're dealing with now. They're trying to keep it from traveling into the Nice Smiles building, the thrift store, and then on to the north and taking out the whole block.
Now, as you heard him say, crews are working at preventing this fire from spreading. That's the main objective right now. But the Corbell Electronics building is already a complete loss. The roof caved in just before 8 p.m. I was actually out here when that happened, and that gives you an idea of how long this fire has been going on. And according to fire officials, they expect to be out here for most of the night trying to contain this flame. They're basically worried right now that it might spread. You can see behind me here, a lot of smoke going on right now. Basically, the main thing right now is for them to prevent this fire from spreading. Emily?
And Matt, that's so important because actually just a few buildings down to the north is the Carterville City Hall, and they're definitely trying to keep a handle on these flames at that point, showing no signs of slowing down. More crews arriving. We've been hearing sirens throughout the night, even just a few minutes ago. And even though the crews have been out here for as long as they have, even within the last 45 minutes, we saw the flames in that building just to the north of the Corbell Electronics, the former pastry shop, get much, much worse, come shooting out the top and the windows that the firefighters had punched out. And the smoke got so thick that you could not even see a few feet in front of your face. The Red Cross is sending out some help for the fire crews who have been here for several hours and will be here throughout the night. A canteen truck is expected to arrive within the next 20 minutes or so to help them out, give them a little bit of relief, some food and water, and help them replenish because they have been working extremely hard this evening. Now, we will update you again on the fire a little bit later in the show, but for now, reporting live in Carterville, Emily Finnegan, News 3.
Emily, we'll get back to you as soon as there are any updates from the scene there in Carterville. Now, we talked with the owner of the Create a Smile thrift store earlier tonight. That's just to the south of where the fire originated. He says his store has only sustained smoke and water damage so far. That wasn't the case in a fire a little more than 2 years ago. The thrift store burned on December 15th of 2010. Much of the store and its contents were destroyed in that fire. Volunteers and donations helped clean up, repair, and reopen Create a Smile then, about a month after that fire in late 2010. Well, this high school football season, WSIL is making it our mission to sack hunger in Southern Illinois again. Each Friday night, we'll be at a different game collecting food for pantries in the home and away communities. News 3's Emily Finnegan is in Johnston City this week, where it's the Indians versus Cesar Valier, Waltonville, Woodlawn. Emily, how's it going?
Eden, we are off to such a great start out here tonight. The action on the field gets underway at the top of the hour, but people are already starting to show up, and we already have quite a few donations. I'm really excited to show you, so check it out. Now, so far, Johnston City has been in the lead. As you can see, their table is pretty much overflowing, but not too long ago, we had a nice drop-off from some SVWW fans, so they're still hanging in there, but we certainly hope more people show up with food as we get closer to the game. And all the items that we collect tonight are going to the people in the two communities that these teams represent. And remember, the food bank that has the most donations at the end of the evening is also going to get an additional $500 from our partners at Black Diamond Harley Davidson. Now, in Johnston City, all this food is going to the First United Methodist Church Food Pantry. They help feed about 100 Williamson County families every month. And leaders say the need is not going down. And you know what that means. They're having a harder time keeping the shelves stocked. Donations from the SVWW crowd tonight are headed to the Cesar-Valier Area Lifeline Food Pantry. That group helps more than 100 families a month and relies exclusively on donations, so you really have the chance to make a difference tonight. And Eden, leaders at both pantries tell me that so many people do not realize what a serious problem hunger is in our community. So please, if you're coming to the Johnston City SVWW game tonight, please bring some food with you and help us sack hunger. Live in Johnston City, Emily Finnegan, News 3.